But then what kind of, I don't understand, what can an SOP be there? There cannot be any SOP for for riots. There cannot be one standard procedure for anything. I mean, after any agitation which is gathering momentum, the intelligence agencies anyway find out who are the key people, where the finance is coming from, who's coordinating who's plotting, where was the conspiracy. This all is done in any case.
When you see this SOP, the demand for an SOP, does the demand look illogical according to you? I mean, because you're saying that there cannot be like a uniform thing for all the agitations. Every agitation has to be dealt with separately. So why have a uniform SOP for all the agitations?
There cannot be. I mean, I don't know what's standard operating. These are good English words, and they are, management professionals always use these, wonderful words and all that. They don't mean actually anything. How could you have a standard operating procedure for an agitation? It's been raising these issues, and therefore the government has to be alerted. What can the government do? It's doing a study of agitations. Where are the agitations being funded from? So politically, this also could be true, but I really don't know. I mean, what advantage will it come to? Or
are you saying that this particular research can be a good soul-searching exercise for Modi government? That probably after this research, they will introspect as to what can be done and what can't be done.
Yes, I think if the Bureau of Police Research will certainly do a good job. And we'll find out what has been the standard procedure applied against major agitations, and who are the planners behind it, and who are actually funding the entire exercise.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has asked the Bureau of Police Research and Development to study all post-independence protests in India, particularly those that took place after 1974. This is what has been reported by Indian Express today. And according to that report, he wants the Bureau to look into the financial aspects, final outcomes, and behind-the-scene players of those protests, and come up with a standard operating procedure as a step towards preventing mass agitations by vested interests in the future. Now, in fact, Amit Shah also spoke about this at a two-day National Security Strategies Conference 2025, which was organized by the Intelligence Bureau in July. This is what the newspaper has reported. And according to this report, Amit Shah has said that BPR&D should rope in the financial investigating agencies like the Enforcement Directorate, Financial Intelligence Unit of India, and the Central Board of Direct Taxes to investigate the financial aspects of the protests. So how does one read this report of Amit Shah asking the enforcement agencies now to come together and probe into and also research and come up with protocols and SOPs as to how these protests should be managed? So joining me this evening is a very special guest, former security, intelligence and IPS officer, Yashovardhan Azad joins us. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for joining. And my first question to you is, what is the logic, according to you, behind getting into a research work on all the mass agitations which have happened post-1974?
Well, it can be a purely research angle, which I don't think Mr. Amit Shah has in mind. Well, I say it's not a bad thing, that BPRD, and he's given the right agency to do it, the Bureau of Police Research and Development, to make a historical analysis of all the agitations as to where they were funded from. Basically, the idea is that how many of them were funded for their own reasons. I mean, were they funded from outside? Were they funded by some international organizations? And did they have a purpose to sort of bring about any kind of a subversion? And I think this has happened after the CAA and other agitations where people were there, and some of them had their own motives. That is also true. They had blocked the streets, and there was tremendous difficulty for the common man in Delhi and so many other places. Some of the farmers' agitation, the people like Pannu who were doing from the back. There were some finances which are coming from the back. So that is, I think, the main reason for doing it, and that's why he wants an extensive research. But there are other things also. There cannot be one SOP which you can make for any agitation. What is an SOP in any case? I mean, the agitations have to be, the intelligence gives the information about a particular kind of agitation, and then if it's an absolutely agitation which is just for agitation's sake, then the intelligence agencies and other people get into act and try and do what they can. But normally, if an agitation is there against the government, a simple agitation, it should be allowed. I mean, that's what democracy is all about.
No, but that is what the main concern, Mr. Azad, is that why a research on all the protests which have happened post-independence, and that too particularly 1974. Why is there so much of stress on 1974, according to you? Because what the chatter on the social media is that this is a way to quell the protests, and especially coming as it does, what has really happened in Nepal. So probably the government is jittery that maybe a Nepal-like situation, what if it involves in a country like India, then at least we have something on hand, how to handle a situation like that. What is your reading about this aspect?
No, but I think the 1973 or 74 is after the Jayaprakash agitation, because
Yes.
the Jayaprakash's agitation was a milestone in India. It was against corruption. It was against maladministration and things like that, and therefore maybe that has been taken as a watershed. And after that, all the agitations which have been planned. Of course, there could be something about even Nepal. But then what kind of, I don't understand, what can an SOP be there? There cannot be any SOP for for riots. There cannot be one standard procedure for anything. I mean, after any agitation which is gathering momentum, the intelligence agencies anyway find out who are the key people, where the finance is coming from, who's coordinating is, who's plotting, where was the conspiracy. This all is done in any case. Now, if you want to do a research and see, you get an idea as to how many of them were funded by international agencies, or how many of them were funded for particular, anti-political reasons or other reasons, then it's a different thing. But on its own,
do you see this SOP, the demand for an SOP? Does the demand look illogical according to you? Because you're saying that there cannot be like a uniform thing for all the agitations. Every agitation has to be dealt with separately. So why have a uniform SOP for all the agitations then?
There cannot be. I mean, I don't know what's standard operating. These are good English words, and they are, management professionals always use these, wonderful words and all that. They don't mean actually anything. How can you have a standard operating procedure for an agitation? There is a way to contain physically a demonstration on the streets. And that is the kind of an operating procedure that first you tell them, Bhaiya, please chale jao, 144 lag gayi hai. Uske baad then you do these jhandas and all that. Then you say ki bhai, agar aap nahi hatiyega to hum lathi charge karenge. Things like that. I mean, but that is standard operating procedure for dispersing a crowd. How can you have a standard operating procedure for dealing with agitation? Whatever standard things you're talking about, I mean, they're all done for every agitation.
I really want to ask you that, these points which have been picked up according to the Indian Express report, that he wants the Bureau of Police Research and Development to look into the financial aspects, final outcomes, behind the scene players of these protests. But wasn't this all this that the police was already doing? I mean, look at what happened during the India against corruption time. Uh, all
Absolutely.
these
I mean, that's Nilu, you're absolutely 100% right. Every agitation, for example, suppose there is a simple agitation, okay? There are some government employees and they're asking about the raises and ADA nahi mila, ye nahi mila. ठीक है, 2 दिन का agitation वह खत्म हो गया. लेकिन if you have a large size agitation which is supposed continuing on beyond 3 days or 4 days, I mean, it's natural practice to find out कि कहाँ से लोग आ रहे हैं, कौन उनको बस में ला रहा है, कितने पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं उनको, कितने दिहाड़ी दी जा रही है, खाना कौन ला रहा है, who are the main people, where did they meet, their electronic evidence tapping है, और ये कितना दिन चलेगा, what is their outer aim, are there international agencies involved, is there a plan to subvert, things like that. So अब क्या चाहिए इसमें, I don't know, maybe if it's in relation with Nepal, then it's a good idea that what are the then you have to find out what the young students are perturbed about right now, and what could be an agitation about. Is there a situation which is developing in the country which needs an immediate kind of addressing? So in that respect, if he's doing it, good for him.
Oh, but the only thing which comes to mind is the vote chori campaign, because it's picking up steam. Congress is getting active across the country, not only in one state, but across the country to spread this campaign as much as possible. So is this the reason, or you think that what has happened in Nepal could be the trigger? I'm talking as a policeman. How would you really view this side of the government when it has asked the police to do a research on these protests?
See, I would view it in 2 ways. One is that any government in the center, when something is happening like this in the neighborhood, would certainly be alerted, right? कि भाई ऐसा यहाँ पे नहीं होने देना चाहिए, and therefore we'll ask his intelligence agencies कि भाई जरा आप देख लीजिए युवाओं में क्या असंतोष है और लोगों में क्या असंतोष है. Is there any pressing thing one is required to do at this particular time? That is natural. I mean, that's okay. That's a part of the क्या कहते हैं, part of the course. So that's fine. The other thing which you're talking about is the purely political angle that the opposition has been raising these issues, and therefore the government has to be alerted. What can the government do? It's doing a study of agitations. Where are the agitations being funded from? So politically, this also could be true, but I really don't know. I mean, what advantage will it come to, or how does it?
But will it help the government in quelling the agitations? Because we've seen the history of this government, whether it was the farmers' protest, where they were putting nails on the roads. We all saw that, how the barbed wires were put for the farmers. If you talk about the women wrestlers protest, we saw how the government handled that protest as well. So this is a government which doesn't believe in agitations. You talk about Prime Minister Modi, he'll say they are Andolan Jeevis. Amit Shah is a home minister who talks about coming up with a protocol for agitations, for mass agitations. So is there an effort from the government side to quell any kind of mass agitation? And this is, of course, keeping the democratic structure in mind, it seems that it's an attack on democracy as well.
See, from the direction which has been given by the home government, you can't say this, that, this is there to quell, because this is the finding out for the standard of procedure. And what pressures can you apply? Nothing. I mean, for each agitation, what you need is, you don't need this SOP. You already have it with you. You have the arms of the government. You know what to do with every agitation. You know what can be done in law and order. You know what should be done in a long scale or a large scale agitation. So that I don't think. And that they want to quell the agitations, that is a different side. That is giving a trait which you are ascribing to this government, कि ये government ऐसा करती है. So these two are different things. I don't think the SOPs are going to help in any way in quelling more agitations, or they are signaling an intent that नहीं हम तो और कोई agitation होने ही नहीं है, इसीलिए हम ये program है सब.
No, but what do you think could be the immediate trigger then? If there is no logic, you are saying that there cannot be a standard SOP. And whichever protest has happened so far, police has already handled the financial outcomes and behind the scene who the players are. So isn't this logic a bit laughable then?
I mean, I don't understand the logic. Maybe he was speaking somewhere. I'm not aware where he said this. Maybe he was speaking at a seminar, and it sounds nice that let us study, do an analysis, and things like that, and find out the causes. Normally, these kind of things are done in Indian
No,
Institute of Public
actually, where
Administration.
he was speaking at a conference. This was National Security Strategies Conference 2025, which was organized by the Intelligence Bureau. So if a home minister, union home minister, goes and attends a conference like this, and if he talks about telling the police bureau research and standards and development to come up with SOPs, so how are the policemen going to react to it?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. And normally these things are done by the Bureau of Police Research on their own, or the Indian Institute of Public Administration, or some research institutes who have nothing much to do. So this, if the Home Minister has directed them, first of all, it sounds very nice. It looks very nice analysis. The Bureau of Police Research has nothing to do anyway. So it's another kind of a research which is being put into. But what are the outcomes of this research? I don't understand of what SOPs. Basically, it may be to find out how many of the agitation in this country, foreign elements were involved, or the other named politicians have been involved. So it gives you an idea of what it could be. The real agitation. It was the real agitation with George Fernandez was there. You remember. So there are so many other places, and I think 93 is the watershed moment because Jayaprakash Narayan agitation was there. And right now, you could be right that it could be in the context of Nepal. But the Intelligence Bureau is already doing its job. I mean, and I think it does a pretty good job. I mean, the information is there. It's actually how you react to it that is more important.
Right. No, but what everyone is talking about is the fact that the government is very scared, and they are really worried that what if agitations on a major scale happen. Now look at the students' protest on paper leaks, against price rise, against vote chori. Then the protest against SIR were happening. So all this is coming along, So is this going to have a cumulative effect? And it must have had a cumulative effect, which is why the government thought of conducting a research like this.
So then it's a good idea. I mean, if the government is conducting research on, then it will give them a fairly good information as to why the youth upset. It's over unemployment. But the inflation is good. The growth reports in future are good. But if the youth is concerned over, jobs, over corruption, over, garbage, over pollution, etc., then I think it's a good collation of issues on which government can act.
Are you saying that this particular research can be a good soul-searching exercise for Modi government, that probably after this research, they will introspect as to what can be done and what can't be done?
Yes, I think if the Bureau of Police Research will certainly do a good job, and we'll find out what has been the standard procedure applied against major agitations, and who are the planners behind it, and who are actually funding the entire exercise.
But what is the logic of involving the Enforcement Directorate, the Financial Intelligence Unit of India, Central Board of Direct Taxes? What is the logic behind that? I mean, is it not, they are already overburdened, but now to involve them in this kind of an exercise, wouldn't it be needless?
Well, this is just a study, right? So in the study, they would say, if the funding came, how did the money come? Was it through Hawala? These are the things which you find out. Now, suppose the money has been sent by the foreign elements who are anti-India elements. So it's important to find out what is the mode of travel. Is it cryptocurrency? Is it Hawala transaction? Is it transfer in some other way? Is it in cash? So that's why all these financial units are there. Financial units are important because they give you actually the mode of travel of money. So in that respect, I don't think it's a bad idea. If you're really concerned about particular anti-India agitation being funded by anti-India people, then yes, it's okay.
No, like you were giving me the example of Mr. Pannu, and so in that, if that is the reference point, that is okay, because you can't invite terrorist elements, within the country. But the danger is that what if the government uses all this against its own people, who are raising the voices of the people, who are raising the voices of the students, raising the voices of the fundamental rights of their own citizens? What if the government comes down against them? Isn't that a danger to democracy then?
Well, that danger will be there from any government which behaves in this manner. But what I'm saying is that this kind of a study is not going to impel, motivate, or push them to do something like this. I mean, I certainly believe that people like Pannu, who sort of say that 1 lakh will be given for committing a dastardly act or flying the Khalistan flag, I mean, should be given any kind of a quarter. And I'm very happy that he's been declared a terrorist. So in that respect, the policy is very, very clear. Now, whether it's going to be used against the Indians, that's a different thing. That's a different issue completely. For having a study, it's okay. I mean, anybody can do a study. There are so many organizations who have no work. So might as well do this. It's good fun also.
So basically, it's a task which has been given to the Bureau of Police Research, Standards and Development.
You see, BPRD is a good organization. It does research, and how much of that research is actually used by the ministry, that's a different thing. But if the Home Minister wants to find out as to how many agitations which were there in India, say a long drawn agitations, and how they were funded and who were the conspirators behind, no harm in doing this kind of exercise. Though I don't know whether it's going to help in tackling new agitations. That's a different thing.
But my last question to you, Mr. Azad, is that should it not raise the alarm bells as well? And especially of those people who raise voices in favor of the people, who raise the voices of the marginalized, the backwards. And normally what happens is that when their interests are not met or the government doesn't listen, people go on wide agitations. So can there be an alarm bell also in this particular direction, which has been given by the Home Ministry to BPRD?
No, this direction may not be linked to that. Because if the government wants to do that, that is irrespective of this. I mean, this doesn't help them in taking a decision that stronger action should be taken against people who are working for marginalized groups and all that. That's a different issue altogether. This is how to control agitations, long drawn agitations which are, sort of creating a kind of a disharmony in society. They are blocking roads for a long time. They are affecting the polity, the law and order. So I suppose it is meant for that kind. Where it is being funded from, who are the conspirators, how long will it last, who are the activists, what is their actual aim, etc., etc.
So you feel that there is no need to read too much between the lines of what Amit Shah has said. And probably, like you said, that it was said in a seminar, and maybe that was a task which Home Minister wanted to give to BPRD. So should we rest the matter there?
Yes, I should think so, because this is basically a kind of a assertion made in a conference that, we are dealing with so many agitations. Maybe it's time now to draw a list of these major agitations and find out who have been the players mostly. We'll get an idea how agitations are done in this country.
But it already exists. But this list which Amit Shah is asking for already is mentioned in the history books, in the chronological incidents which are there. It's already penned down. People do know about all the major agitations which have happened post 1974 particularly. So I don't know really what is Amit Shah seeking out of this research.
No, but they will not know exactly that who are the conspirators, who are the funders, the details and all that will only be available with the bureau or to agencies in the Ministry of Home Affairs. So he must be trying to collate and prepare a report on that, which can be put up in a form where it is easily readable and grasped. So fine.
Okay, so maybe, who knows, it might be part of any history book, and where Amit Shah probably in a few years from now will be quoting that, look, when I was a home minister, I got this book done. Maybe, who knows? Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for joining on HW. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.